process of external moderation ensures that the teacher assessment system is fair to all pupils and is a collaborative process between local authority moderators and schools. The professional discussion is a central and crucial element of every moderation visit and is essential to achieving its intended outcome, namely confirmation that the pupils within the sample have met the specified standards within the teacher assessment framework and that their work is consistent with national standards. When handled effectively, the professional discussion is a supportive yet challenging process which allows teachers to articulate their understanding of the standards and to talk through the written evidence which supports their assessment judgments. It also enables moderators to systematically review this evidence against the teacher assessment framework, discuss any gaps in evidence and confidently validate the standards awarded. This video focuses on how the moderators can ensure professional discussions are properly collaborative with equal contributions from both participants and how effective dialogue can be facilitated through skillful questioning. It also explores how discussions should be both challenging and supportive. In effective discussions, teachers are able to articulate their understanding of the writing assessment framework statements and describe how they reached their judgments for individual pupils. Skillful questioning on the part of the moderator may be used to prompt the teacher to explain their thinking in more detail and evidence their judgments with examples from pupil work. In successful discussions, the moderator is able to explain the moderation processes clearly. Above all, that the standard awarded must be supported by sound and demonstrable evidence, and to share their good knowledge of the frameworks and their wider experience of writing assessment across schools. The success of the professional discussion is of course reliant on establishing good communication. In some instances, however, there may be communication barriers, and these will need to be anticipated and worked around to ensure the discussion is productive and collaborative and a positive experience for all. In the following scenario, it is the moderator's first year moderating. The teacher is experienced, but has only recently begun to teach Year 6 and has never been through the moderation process.
So I've taken some time to read through the collection of pupil work, and I believe we can award the expected standard. There's a good range of purposes and audiences within the collection. We've got a diary, we've seen a biography, there's an interview. Within the narratives, there's a spooky narrative where the pupil has described settings and characters, and integrated dialogue in that narrative to convey character and advance the action. In terms of vocabulary and grammatical structures, there are a few little inaccuracies, there's a few imprecise sentence structures, but overall there's enough that shows the pupil can choose what the writing requires, and it's mostly appropriate. There's a good range of devices to build cohesions. We've got conjunctions, we've got adverbials. The verb tenses are consistent and correct. In terms of punctuation, it was a little tricky to find the full range. We had some commas, some question marks, inverted commas, exclamation marks. I struggled at times to find evidence of more advanced punctuation.
I've got an example here of where it's...
Oh no, there was a colon here in this report. So I think there's enough to say that statement has been met. The spelling was mostly correct, including some of the more uncommon and ambitious vocabulary, and the handwriting was legible and joined. So overall, I think there is enough here to warrant awarding this pupil the expected standard.
Right, thank you.
You may now like to pause the video to reflect on the possible reasons for and the impact of poor communication. The moderator's dominance of this conversation probably stems from nerves and almost certainly leaves the teacher feeling undervalued. They provide no opportunities for the teacher to express their understanding of the framework statements, and in this scenario, the teacher is unlikely to volunteer areas in which they might need support. Without proper collaboration and discussion, the moderator may not have enough knowledge to feel confident about the teacher's ability to interpret and evidence the framework statements across pupils and standards. Newly qualified moderators may feel nervous, particularly when anticipating discussions with experienced teachers. However, having passed a rigorous standardisation exercise, the moderators should have confidence in their deep understanding of the standards and use this to support teachers of all experience levels to articulate their own understanding. Eliciting teacher knowledge of pupils and writing context is also important to the success of the discussions, for example, in identifying independent writing. Some teachers may also need support with interpreting some of the framework statements and are more likely to share this need in an atmosphere of mutual respect. Before watching the next clip, you may like to pause the video and consider how you approach the moderation visits with confidence and how you put teachers at their ease.
What a lovely school.
Thank you.
The children, they're just so polite. The atmosphere, you can just feel it as you walk down the corridors. It's lovely. Have you been here for long?
I've been here a few years.
Okay. And have you been through this moderation
No, not yet.
process before? Well, you should be finding this a very supportive and collaborative experience. I have had a chance to review the pupil work first, but what we're going to do now is read through again together. And really it's an opportunity for you to explain how and why you've come to the judgments that you have, and an opportunity for us really to come to a shared understanding of why each pupil has been awarded the standard that they have been. Now, you, of course, you know the pupils better than anyone. You know them as writers, but we are going to structure our conversation quite systematically along the lines of looking through each statement from the assessment framework. And we'll go through and opportunity for you to show me where you believe the evidence is and for us to try and find that together. Is that all okay?
That's fine. I've brought additional evidence. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So it might well be that there are certain statements here that are easier to find evidence for than others, and certain statements that might be more challenging to find the evidence for. So having additional work to look through if we need it is absolutely fine.
That's lovely. Thank you.
This second clip presents a respectful discussion between two equal professionals and a good example of how moderation visits could be conducted. The moderator acknowledges the importance of the teacher's contextual knowledge, but it's also explicit about the need to identify evidence for all the statements in the standard through a systematic review of the work and to look for additional evidence if necessary. They stress the collaborative nature of this process and that the intended outcome is to confirm that pupils have met the specified standards and provide a shared understanding of how these judgments have been reached. Before watching the final clip, perhaps pause the video to reflect. How do you know how to pitch the level of challenge and support for individual teachers?
Okay, fantastic. If we move on to the next statement, which is in narratives, describe settings, characters, and atmosphere. Do you think you could maybe just take me through the collection of work and point me in the direction of where you think the pupils...
I think this one, which was a spooky narrative, is the one that it builds an atmosphere of tension.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me maybe a few specific examples?
Yeah. I think the child has got a good choice of vocabulary. Mm-hmm. They use short sentences to good effect, and they use adverbials to create that tension.
Maybe draw out for me a few specific examples of vocabulary.
So things like the mist lingered, the lamp flickered, the looming cast iron gate help create that feeling of what was there rather than just a description. And things about the character like he tiptoed cautiously, he dripped with sweat, his legs quivered, all add to that sense of tension.
Yeah, fantastic. Do you think there's perhaps enough evidence here to award greater depth?
No, I don't think so. I think this child really successfully draws on things that they've been taught, but they don't draw on their independent reading and bring that to their writing.
I see. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much.
In this final clip, the moderator's questioning supports the teacher by helping them articulate their knowledge of the standards, making what might be implicit knowledge more explicit. The questions also provide challenge by requiring the teacher to evidence their judgments with examples in the pupil work. A properly collaborative discussion will allow a systematic review of evidence that leads to shared understanding of how judgments have been awarded and therefore allow the moderator to validate or challenge the standard. Where questioning reveals any areas for development in teacher knowledge of the standards, the moderator will be able to further support the teacher. The professional development potential of the moderation visit is further explored in video 3.